Hey y'all, so it's week 12. I just want to start this video off and let people know that if anyone's still interested in doing guest videos for our channel, please message me. I'm gonna put the link below, so you can either comment or PM our channel or email us. We'd be really excited to get different voices from the communities on this channel, not just ours, because really we're just a few people in the community. We want to hear others. So that being said, this week we're going to talk a little bit about allyship and how our friends and family and the general public can be um, better allies for trans API folks. So I'm not going to go over like the basic trans etiquette because I think that should be already given for the general trans population. You know, as a general trans ally, you should follow these etiquettes. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I'll link it in the description box anyways, just in case you don't know them. So I'm going to talk a little bit more of how people can be better allies for trans API folks specifically. And a disclaimer, I don't want to speak for like all trans API folks, so like if anyone want to mention something different or uh, put their own 2 cents out there, please comment below, or even better, make a video. But I just want to iterate on that. Please do your own research. I think that's part of trans etiquette 101, but it's really important to do your own research and really understand the lives of trans API folks. So, one of the biggest things is to understand that there are many different terms for trans identities that are rooted in certain API cultures, and they may or may not be anything that you've ever heard before or be familiar with, and that does not in any way negate their gender identities. So please use the terms and identities that these folks ask you to use, regardless of if you've ever heard of it or not. Um, Another one I really want to stress is to really try to understand the complexity of our intersecting identities, or and really at least acknowledge and be open to learning about it, because really our identities are very intersected. Our cultures really mesh, and sometimes it meshes better than others. And to really understand how it differs for each trans API folks. Don't try to generalize that, all trans Vietnamese American folks experience this in this way, but really have a general idea of it, but really talk to the person, really learn from them, and individualize your understanding of that particular person. Um, Understand how family, social structures, culture, and heritage may affect a trans API person, whether that trans API person consciously or unconsciously understand how it affects them. Really understand how all of these systems create fears or concerns or happiness for the person, because it really, all these systems intertwine with each other. You really can't have one or the other and not understand everything. um, so I know for me, when I first came out to myself, I had a lot of fears with my family because of our culture and our heritage and the social structures that surrounds my family and how that would affect my family. And this isn't, and I know for me, it's a very deeply rooted Asian identity, Vietnamese identity for me, that I had these concerns, especially with my parents being immigrants, and the social structure of the Asian the Vietnamese community is in town, and how my trans identity might affect them. And that created a lot of fears and concerns. So that's how that really affected me, and for someone to really understand, excuse me, how that affects me and how I navigate through this society, through my Vietnamese community, through my family, through my social circles, to have someone understand that really affirms me and validates my identity. I feel like someone understands me at a whole new level, and not just someone who understands my trans identity or just someone who understands my Asian identity, that they understand how these identities intersect for me. Um, Understand how racism affects us. So, really, racism continues to happen not just in the straight and cis communities, but also in the queer and trans community, and how that racism affects us, and how if you combine racism and transphobia and homophobia, you combine all that together, how does that affect us? How do we navigate society and try to get away from that? um, and really acknowledge that racism still exists. A lot of people don't think so, and that surprises me, because that still affects me every single day. And not just, blame racism, how does institutional racism affects me, and other trans API folks, or really any other trans people of color. This racism affects all people of color, cis, queer, trans, to be able to acknowledge and understand racism and how that intersects with our other identities. That's already a huge step forward to being a really good ally. And being a good ally means being great advocates, good advocates, where you stand up to these, transphobic remarks, or these homophobic remarks, these racist remarks, these sexist remarks, to really stand up and call people out and not let things slide. And I think that is the biggest piece to being a good ally, is to stand up for folks, even if they're not there with you, and calling even, your friends out, your family members out, your loved ones out, and not let anyone get away with this stuff, because it only perpetuates the misunderstanding of trans folks in the general public. Yeah. So I know I'm missing a lot. I always feel like I'm missing a whole lot whenever I'm trying to end these videos. But I'm really interested to hear how other people feel about this topic. And I think the more we talk about how people can be really good allies, the more comfortable and more ready they will be when the time comes for them to be good allies. So please share your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. And I will see you in a couple weeks. Actually, I might not be able to post a video next week because I will be out of town, but we'll see how that goes. I'll see you when I see you, I guess.